Well, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll begin with approval of today's agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, for the consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 13th and claims for today. Any discussion?
I don't have any questions.
Well. Okay, I guess we're all good then. I'll take the motion.
All right, I move to approve the consent agenda.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we will open for public comment. Is there anybody present here who would like to address the commission?
Not yet.
Seeing none, we have no guests online. Then I will close public comment and Mr. General Manager, your report.
Yeah, just a couple things. This will be pretty short. The Lyra One Management Board is looking at setting the agenda for the commission meetings for the rest of the year.
Great.
On the one thing that I've kind of pushed for, we're going to have a meeting in March, and it's the last meeting we have for the actual management for the actual board prior to May 1. So I thought it'd be good to have an adjudication update, at least say who's filed their claims.
Okay.
And kind of go through that. Who's filed the claims, but just how many, because they released numbers. Last I saw, I think it was 1,300 claims have been filed, something like that. So nothing, but a far cry from what they're expecting, 15 to 18,000 filed. So anyway, that's there. The other thing is, I've recommended broadening out the council of governments to include the Ag Water Board, and we're going to talk about that the next time we have a discussion, which should help. I think when you look at what happened in Yakima, all of the water users were part of the adjudication as it is here, but they ended up forming a team late in the adjudication. I'm still hopeful we can do that early. I'm still hopeful that the Lyra One board or at least the management team is perhaps the core of that problem solving group. So there's that. And then this is an update.
What capacity are you suggesting the water board be in?
On the council of governments. They're represented there.
Oh, as one of the actually voting.
Yes. Yeah, right now they're officially an observer member.
Mhm.
And I was the one who made that motion a couple of years ago. And it was time for them to have a vote. Although we don't do a lot on that, a lot of it's done by consensus. So
Which board meeting is that on the agenda for?
So it's gonna be on the management board, and then it's gonna be on the small government, I forget what they call the small government council, and then ultimately on the executive.
So
And it's
In
gotta go
March.
through.
Maybe.
That one would probably be in March, so probably later in the year.
Okay.
Jamie, should we deliberate on that as far as that goes? So Chris has made a proposal.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I mean, you have to run it by the board anyway first, yeah.
So if it goes to vote, you'll vote in favor of it?
Mhm. Yes. I will.
I mean, I just want to discuss it. It's, I guess I haven't deliberated on it myself much. Oh, which agenda will it be on? If we have any issues, which agenda will it be on?
I've proposed to put it on an agenda, there is no agenda yet.
Okay.
My opinion is that the availability of water is vital to municipal governments. And the people that live in them. I think it's, and the majority of municipal governments don't have somebody on their council that specializes in water. I mean, they have utility departments, but they don't have somebody working on broader issues dealing with water availability. So I think that it's appropriate to have a commission's voice on municipal government board, so.
Well, and we're already on that, but I think that, especially the claimants that are, such as Commissioner Vishmani, that are on small gentleman farms, I call them, or hobby farms. You know, those are largely fed by wells, and they're not, other than the county, they're not represented by anybody. And the Ag Water Board would at least give them the potential for some kind of a voice at that table. But, you know, all this being said, you can do whatever you want on wire one. What actually happens in the adjudication will be what happens in the adjudication. Those things are independent.
Yeah, it doesn't interfere with that.
You know, just I'm trying to set the table so that it's more possible or more likely to have a beneficial outcome earlier in the process. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, that goal, I absolutely agree. And initially I have no concerns about it. I just haven't thought about it,
Yeah,
so. Let's see, on that subject, I just would like to. Maybe I just make a note to myself to consider the issue, and if it's appropriate, I'll bring it up at a future meeting.
yeah,
Other than that, you know, we continue to have people walk in. We had the second data center of the year, fourth data center since about Thanksgiving. So just to let you know, we field these calls all the time. So far, nothing has come of it. You know, once they take a look at the power availability around here, they typically walk off because they want gigawatts, and we just don't have that.
right.
So I'll keep you guys posted. Just let you know, people keep knocking on our door.
If I take liberty, something that's, we don't really have it on the agenda, but I think kind of fits here. Is that, Peter, you're gonna work on some suggestion, changes to our. Per diem policy and reimbursement policy, allowing for. What was that word for the daily?
Yeah,
How
but
long?
there was a letter that came out almost a month ago in regard to that, it's a.
I can summarize that.
Yeah, sure, okay,
Yeah, so,
You sent us an email?
yeah.
we did some analysis in the statute, and you will see other government entities, cities, some other special purpose districts with a reimbursement policy that is on a per diem basis. But the PUD statute for reimbursement of commissioners is very specific. It's actual expenses.
Okay.
And so we concluded that in the case of PUDs, and there's a couple others, I think, that are along the lines of the same as PUDs, that it's not an option that.
Okay.
Per diem
Thank
is
you.
an
No,
option.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the email.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay, well, thank you.
yeah.
And I have nothing else to report, unless you guys got questions for me. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. in different
Yeah, it
projects.
looks like it, yeah.
I have none.
Oh, I just wanna say, I was shocked to hear that only 1,300 people have filed. Everybody's just gonna do it all at once, huh?
Well, so that's a number that I remember seeing from last month.
Okay.
And it may be much higher than that now. In fact, Peter looks like he's going
I
right
can
now.
probably find, I'll take me a little bit, but.
Cause there's how many, 53,000?
Well, they initially had 30 or 33,000, and they've since said that that's cut back to somewhere between 15 and 18,000.
Oh, really, that's it?
Yeah, a lot of it was duplicate claims. A lot of it was like I got one in my home in Linden.
Right.
I just threw it away. I mean, it's like, you guys, come on. There's gonna be a lot of people like me who do that. I'm served by city water. I have been, that address has been for 10 years. Why it's still in the database, I don't know.
Right, but still, we're at like 10% then, people that.
About that was the last number I saw. Well, I would expect that most people are like us. They're getting ready to file so that as you get closer to the filing date, you simply can.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. And, you know, I'm still advocating that we file in March, and, you know, unless things change, that'll still be my recommendation.
Yeah, I believe we're all in agreement there.
Mhm.
We're gonna meet the deadline. It's not surprising to me that 3 months out, most people haven't. I mean, it's kind of expected. A deadline's a deadline, it's like with voting, where the people are on the last day, so.
Not me.
Well,
Really?
hopefully it's not like voting where half people are on the last day and only 25% vote anyway.
Right, yeah, let's hope it's much, we have a.
My fear would be, I would be like, oh, let's wait, and then I'd get like deadly ill and it.
Looks like Peter has news.
You know.
So I'm reading from the court's order, in January 16th. This was the order, we can talk about this a little bit more later, denying the motion for leave to file 4 motions relating to removing the Sumas Basin from the adjudication boundary. And according to the court, fewer than approximately 2,000 claims filed out of an estimated universe of 30,000 potential claimants.
They're not influenced by the billboards that suggest that they don't need to.
Right, that's,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's having an effect.
And if this is a flow, I can talk about
Mhm.
these motions briefly, if you want to wait for the adjudication.
do you guys want to skip to the adjudication and Peter can cover it now?
Well, that, oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I would say that makes sense, yeah, did you have a?
you're the chair, you decide.
Just for the flow of things, let's go to adjudication update, please.
Okay, not a ton of detail, and some of this has been provided to you, but as you know, there were 2 sets of motions filed with the court, asking the court to provide leave so that actual substantive motions could be filed. And the court found that both sets of motions were premature because the claim filing deadline is still off. They don't have all the claimants, and the court saw that as a problem in making ruling without having all the parties before the court. And so they denied the motion to leave. They also denied the motion to extend the deadline, so the deadline remains May 1st. And then in the mix of all this, sort of outside the adjudication, I know some of you are probably more familiar than I am with some of the groups that have popped up, but we just recognize that there's another group that's popped up with a fairly visually organized website, Property Owners Water Well Rights Alliance, with basically saying they're contesting the adjudication on various theories. And so just for your awareness on that.
great. Yeah, I think that's great. So everybody, I mean, at this point, because those motions were denied, that means regardless of whether or not Sumas will be, found to be not included, everybody knows now that they have to get their claims filed, right? That's where everybody has to file a claim,
That's the
and then they'll decide later whether or not they're included. That's
Yeah,
good.
and that's the key. I don't
Yeah.
think everybody knows that they have to file or is willing to file.
Yeah, that's the problem, but
Yeah, our message should be simple and united. Everybody's got to file.
everybody has to file.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
And there's no prejudice.
right, exactly. I
Right.
mean, that's the, lawyers, in the legal field in general, they have a way of saying, well, it wasn't me that did it, and if I did it, it was self-defense, and if it wasn't self-defense, it was, I'm pleading insanity, right? So you reserve your rights.
You got that down.
Yeah.
That's how
Wow.
I
I like it.
So you can file and you can still make your arguments.
Absolutely. Great, that's a good message then. Well, not about the whole.
Yeah, I know.
The judge isn't,
Right. It's
they're
without
not-
prejudice.
just saying, this is just not the right time.
Right.
Great.
Is,
Anything else? on
That's
this?
that all? Yeah. Okay, no more questions?
Nope.
Well, let's hear the update on broadband.
Well,
Well, I think we
operations report.
Operations report.
See, you guys got us all messed up now.
Oh, we did, right, we skipped that. Thank you. Let's hear the operations report, please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good.
Just a couple of quick, weather related things. So the weather is about to be changing here shortly, but we haven't had any negative effects. The river only got down to about 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So, that's obviously 31 degrees. We're gonna start talking about fragile. So everything's fine there. But when we did have flooding a month ago or whatever that was, we did have some scouring out here at plant. plant 2 intake, so we had to do some dirt work out there. We probably lost, depending on where it was, 4 to 6 inches of gravel out there, just scoured away when the river came up high, so we had to do some work out there to bring that road, put that road back together. But that's all completed, so everything's smooth sailing right now. Looking to just get ready for big projects for this coming year,
Thanks.
and that's all.
This
Yeah.
is the winter that wasn't.
I assume that our chemical dosing also went quite down considerably, right?
Well, in the last 10 days or
Yeah.
so, we've had quite the end of the last quarter of last year was pretty brutal. The river was up and down. We were 8 feet swings, 24 hours regularly. We had quite a usage of product last quarter. So like I said, the last 10 days has been pretty calm, but I think the river's supposed to go up about 6 or 8 feet starting tomorrow.
Yeah, all right.
So it'll kick back in again.
Uh,
But beyond that, I don't know, that's a little far out, but I know the next 48 hours, it's supposed to come up quite a bit.
Has anybody looked at long-term forecasts? Are we headed, do you think we'll have another cold spell in February? Probably, right?
Probably, but
Yeah.
Not significant, as I was
you
watching.
never really know
Yeah.
that far out, but at least for the next, I think, 2 weeks, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fairly mild.
The long-term trend for the spring, late winter and spring was warmer than average and drier than average
Mhm.
for us. And warmer than average and wetter than average south of Seattle. So the Columbia Basin potentially could get more snowfall. We're actually fairly close to normal snowfall up here, although we haven't retained the pack because of the melt.
Right, so we're in a little bit, we're kind of concerning place for drought, this summer here.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially, I wanted to give an update just because it fits in with weather, from PPC, Bonneville system is actually in relatively good shape. Right now, so, reality on the other side of the mountain is not the reality here. Scott Wilson from BPA was, feeling pretty good about water,
Right.
behind the dams, and that affects both power generation, of course, and drought conditions in many other parts of the state. So just FYI.
Right, I recall hearing that too, PUDA, because of the snowpack in Canada is good and it's looking like a normal range water year, right?
Better than last year,
Better,
yeah, at least so far, so.
And that may not matter at all. There's a federal injunction right now that has been filed to alter the way that the Snake River and the Columbia River are used for flood and spill this spring and summer. Basically to take the spill levels way up. And that would be power not available for generation or anything else. And we'll
What
just
would
have
the
to see.
reason for that be?
That the higher flows and the higher total dissolved gas is in better alignment with the buy-up that was passed at the end of the Bolt decision. If I've got the argument right. But so, yeah, I mean, the weather conditions are one thing, but then, the river itself is fully controlled. And humans control it, and humans can do things that, may not make a lot of sense. There may be plenty of water, and we just don't use it wisely, or we use it for one purpose and it's not available for others.
Right, well,
I don't have anything else to add for.
Thanks, Kurt.
well, that's good to hear that, things are looking good despite the dry conditions this week and, headed
Cool.
into a lot of cold rain coming, right? So, I will say, let's go to old business. Next up, please, the update on broadband.
Sure. Broadband things are going along as planned. We did retain Caldera Archaeology to help with redoing our inadvertent discovery plan, which was requested by during our consultation with staff and the tribe. That should be completed by the end of February. To continue to not have any ground disturbing activities. There's been a reduction of the total number of address points to be served from 1,200 down to roughly 878. And that could continue to decline as we move through the PSC make ready, so I will keep you posted. Other than that, things are moving along just fine.
I wasn't aware of the new archaeology firm, where are they out of?
I think they have a couple, I think it's a duo couple, here locally, and then I think out of Oregon, I can get back to you on it.
Did you say it was Caldera?
Yes.
And they came well recommended to us?
As did the earlier one.
Yeah, okay.
They're both on the state list. They were both approved by DAP for this use. And it turned out that the tribe really didn't like the first one and they've rejected the plan.
Mhm.
So we're paying Caldera to go in there and redo a plan, which basically says if you are disturbing the ground and you discover anything, you stop and call an archaeologist.
Mhm.
The plan is not sophisticated, but we're having to redo it and it's taking a month. And it's costing a few $1,000s.
Okay.
Very, very frustrating. Oh, I guess my internal filter's dropping.
I mean, I guess that's a little bit of
That's
a,
okay.
you always wanna hire local, so Drayton Harbor, that was the name of the previous one, right? Isn't it Drayton?
so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Archaeology.
Drayton Harbor Archaeology, or just Drayton Archaeology. I guess is sometimes people have personal opinions. You know, when you hire local.
So we found.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there shouldn't, it's approved by DAP, it was on their list.
yeah,
Should not have been a problem. This is just ridiculous, but it is what it is. Anything else on Broadway?
No, that's it.
Any other questions, comments?
Nothing more on broadband, no?
thanks.
Let's hear about geothermal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Forgive me, I think we mentioned this in the last meeting, but I just wanna make sure I bring it up in case, Commissioner Arnett hasn't heard this. Heard really good news about BEAD,
Oh, right.
and that the state so there's 1.1 billion that was allocated to the state, approximately.
Yes.
1.2 billion allocated to the state. Because of the new process, it was reduced to 800 and something million that was allocated. A new process was rolled out the last minute, so the full amount wasn't allocated. That leaves a balance unspent for quite a while. Some, like myself, thought there's no way we're gonna get it. It was gonna get clawed back. But the latest word from our WPUDA team and lobbyists is that we are going to get to keep that at the state level. And then secondly, that there is a challenge to the last minute change of the practices of the federal government. Suggesting that it was not appropriate to make those last minute changes. Now, practically, that doesn't mean anything because we're not about to go back through the whole process again. As the state doesn't really want to do that, and I don't think anybody wants to go back through the process all over again and do brand new applications and that kind, because it cuts into our time. So we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot to do that. But it does really support our ability to use the money. Like it gives us some leverage, in my opinion, political leverage to be able to keep it at the state level. And in a way, it might be a good thing because it allows us to not have this spike in funding and then disappearance in funding. So maybe we'll be able to come back and patch in some of the holes that are the most acute. So I just wanted to, and Andrew, feel free to correct anything I'm saying that's not substantiated by the facts. I mean, some of it was editorial.
It's okay. No, you did a great job.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about
No, thank you, that was. Good, we heard that, so, good to move on.
Yeah.
Let's go to, our update on recruitment for the general manager position. Oh, see, yeah,
That's
I
all right.
gotta,
You're just
we
anxious to
just,
get ahead. I like it.
make sure, okay. Yeah, the check marks that we're gonna do that, Please an update on geothermal.
Sure, so the update is just, to piggyback off of our last meeting, we're waiting now for the tribe to let us know what date works for the joint meeting between the tribal council and all of the commissioners for the signing of the memorandum of understanding. And so we threw out 2 dates last time, one was for this evening, and then the second date was for the evening of February 3rd. Today won't happen because for obvious reasons, so we're targeting February 3rd, so I'm waiting to hear back for confirmation on that date, so that's the update. As soon as we get the confirmation from the tribe, myself or Chris will let you know, I'll get it posted.
Okay, so it's still a possibility, unconfirmed. We're looking at evening, right? What do we have a time if it is? Good to know. It was.
I thought it was 4:30, wasn't it? Or it was an early evening start.
Early.
Oh,
I can't remember.
well, let me confirm.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think they locked in a time when we were deciding.
I
That it just
I did see an
roughly-
evening time where they told us what their evening, because that's a standing tribal council meeting for them. But I don't remember what it was.
Well, I think it's typically 6, but
Yeah,
Right.
we can't, don't,
6 o'clock.
yes.
that's their typical time,
Right.
but
So let's keep next Tuesday blocked off, and
It's next Tuesday.
it's next Tuesday, so
Time is
if
blocked.
we need to look at other dates, then should, since it's, our next meeting's not for 2 more weeks, so would we just, get an update over email and indicate availability if need be?
Yeah, and we'll have to notice the meeting.
Of course, yeah.
So there's some mechanical steps we gotta go through.
Didn't we talk about that last time about, since the tribe is hosting it around, like, we'll still give public notice, but there was something to,
Yeah. We did have a discussion about that.
yeah, we still have, we of course have to notice the meeting as well, I'll be there, but, yeah. So they understand that, okay. Okay, well, I'm very much looking forward to that. I think we all are. And, I wonder actually if just, if the meeting does end up happening before we get to meet again, is there anything else we do want to talk about on geothermal as far as like, where, going into this meeting with the tribe, understanding, will be, guests at their meeting, are we, like, is expected that we're like, our staff giving a presentation, or are we just, we're just.
Signing a document.
We're gonna sign the MOU.
And then a social event.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about things that we could do.
I sent you an email yesterday.
Okay.
I made a decision of just gifts.
Oh,
So
great, okay.
there is a local, Lusac travel artist who's quite well known. His name is Louis Chong. And he has designed, some very nice ballpoint pens. And I had purchased enough of those for you to get to the council and maybe staff them.
Awesome.
And I confirmed that in talking with, a trusted friend that I have that works there, that it would be, would be considered an appropriate gift from our commission to their council. So,
That's great. That's
so
great.
they're ordered.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking
Yep.
care of that, yeah. Okay, so
Well,
we'll,
it's a celebratory kind of event.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be presumptive and try to give them a presentation or talk too much.
Right, and
Yeah.
I
Right.
I mean, there might be some conversations in the margins.
Yeah.
And that will be great.
okay. I just want, yeah, I guess that was the understanding I had is. But, in case, yeah, if we hear anything else about an agenda, it would be good to know, or, yeah, or how it'll be formatted, but yeah, we're gonna sign the MOU and.
Celebrate.
Great. Okay. Next, let's hear about our update on recruitment.
So as of last Friday, Lanny gave me an update on, they have 6 interested external candidates and 3 additional folks who are reviewing the position. Again, this is as of 8 o'clock on Friday morning. Now, what that means is that the folks who are interested typically Mycoff is really good about screening out folks who aren't fully qualified right up front. Because she knows, especially Lainey and Joyce, the other recruiter that's working on this, they know the people they're talking to very well. They've already had previous contact with them and all of that. Sometimes it's friend of a friend of a friend, and they have to go through a vetting process. So none of these folks have yet been vetted. And only after that will, will you guys get a look at a long list or get a request to cut a long list down to a short list or anything like that. And that, I believe, would be shared with you in executive session, because we'll be, talking about individual candidates at that point.
What's the cutoff for people to express interest?
I think it was February 13th. That being said, if Lainey gets a whole bunch more people, she's perfectly fine to, call out the top 10 out of a much larger list and present that early. I've seen her do that.
6 so far is promising though.
I was very encouraged, and the note from Lainey was really, really positive.
Yeah,
I think we made some good calls.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Good there's interest. I think it was this, I think 16th was what they had in their announcement. As far as deadline to apply, but so is it likely we'll have some vetted names to review on the 10th at our next meeting?
Yeah, they were starting to vet the 6 and trying to get the other 3 in, and then they continue to search for more people.
Fantastic.
So I'm hoping on or about our second meeting in February, you guys will get to see a raw list.
The second meeting, so that would be the 24th.
Probably, yeah.
Where we would discuss an executive session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, just FYI, the advertisement is on the APPA website, the Waputa website, Mycoff's website, and LinkedIn.
Great.
Right.
And I think we did a good job of spreading the word to our colleagues that Waputa, that we have a
Good.
we're gonna transition, so. And the press release was helpful in that regard. So, okay, thank you for.
Yeah, that sounds like, yeah, the recruiter is conducting the search effectively, and so yeah, six candidates already, 3 interview. That's great. Next will be update on new customer.
And I don't have an update on that. It's the same as it was last time.
Okay.
They're still working.
Okay, well, I guess we'll wait here hopefully by the next meeting.
And who knows, maybe we'll have 2 more data centers being it, but I don't know.
That's incredible that they really want this area, huh?
Well, I think, many of them have driven from Vancouver to Seattle or vice versa. They drive by the Custer sub and they go, oh, it's great. There's this giant substation. It must have a ton of power and there's a field next to it. I can build a data center there. I think that's literally the level of sophistication.
Yeah.
Kind of painful.
John just came in. Maybe.
Well, I guess, okay, no further comments on this. But yeah, I understand we're getting updated quotes from the engineer and then in discussion, right?
Yeah.
Hello, John, welcome.
Hey, John.
No tie.
No tie, I know.
Yeah.
Certainly goodwill.
Officially the public.
Pardon?
Officially the public.
I'll have a
Well, there will be opportunity. We're just about to move to new business, and we have several actions, some resolutions coming up. But first, we'll start with action 1 to approve funding in the amount of $20,000 for Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association to support Washington Conservation Corps work on habitat restoration projects for 2026. Do we have a presentation?
We do. Rebecca has the person online, I believe.
Actually, Mike is handling that. I think.
Yeah, it looks like he's promoting.
Yeah. There we go.
Hello,
Right.
can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I used the right link or not, but I got promoted, so here I am. Let me get this ready. Oh, of course, it's on the wrong screen. I've recently graduated to 3 screens now, and it is daunting, but it does help sometimes. Let's put this there. All right. And I want to share. There we go. Let's shut that one. Good. All right. Can you all see it?
Yes, it's very
Great.
tiny.
Oh, how do I? It did move it to the wrong window
screen.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's never the one that that I put the presentation on either. So, of course it's giving me issues. That's weird. I don't even know how to change that part. Present a few slideshow. Let's do that. Okay. But now, of course, I've lost the Zoom. Oh, yeah, yeah. I swear I never have this issue. All right, let's try that again. That should help with it being more visible. Good. Great. Well, as I figured this out, I wanted to say thanks for letting me come join your meeting. My name's James Vandervoort. I am the riparian project manager for Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association. I recognize some of the faces on the screen, but not all of them. Looks like the 3 of you I remember from presenting last year at least. All right, how does that look? Better?
Great.
Well, thanks
Great.
for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So, as you all know, or at least many of you know, PUD has supported NC's work for, gosh, since before I started for a while now. And it's been an amazing partnership for us. I think I talked about it in the letter that I wrote, but this kind of funding is huge for us, just being able to, not have to apply with specific projects with having it tied to specific outcomes. This sort of funding to just support everything we're doing annually is huge, and in all honesty has been a huge help and savior over the past year or so. As some of you know, that our type of work isn't exactly in the kind of spotlight for funding these days. So I threw together a little presentation to just kind of go over some of the successes from last year. I always try to introduce my team since they're the ones that do most of the work. I'll go over some of the metrics from 2025, highlight a project that I thought was pretty cool from last year, and then give you a little teaser about some of the stuff we're doing in 2026. I'm going to try and go fast to keep you all on your agenda. So project managers, myself, I'm the riparian project manager. So anything above the ordinary high water, planting, all of that stuff, I handle. Our in-stream project manager is Eli DeWitt. He and I have taken over for Daryl, who some of you may know, and have been doing this since the end of 2023, I believe. My field staff, there are a couple familiar faces and a couple new ones. So I've got a field coordinator, Devin Soliday, 2 habitat technician 2s, Emily and Will. They take on other specialties and make my job much easier. And then I have 3 habitat technician 1s, Megan, Lexus, and Levi. Lexus and Levi just joined us full-time this year. They were seasonal summer hires that we kind of piloted last year to get us through the large project load that we picked up. You all always support our WCC crew that we share with the county. So they go from October in one year to September in the following year. So our 24-25 crew was Zoe, Maddie, Oliver in the middle is the supervisor. Liz Johnson was the assistant supervisor, Emmanuel and Renee. And then this year's crew is Sky, Kason, Henry, Rose, Oliver still supervisor with us, and Zoe stuck around for another year to be assistant supervisor. They tend to have one stick through every year, which is huge for us, huge for the supervisor. They're allowed, it makes it easier for them to go take a day off or go be with their partner, their family, and not worry about no one being able to lead the crew that doesn't have experience in what we do. So for 2025, as a whole, we planted 32,337 native trees. I think, plus or minus 50. My counting's not always great. 18 new projects were implemented, which improved 23,680 stream feet, or about 4.5 miles. The crews maintained just under 107 acres, which was along 4.1 miles of creek. So those are our older project sites, going back and maintaining those plantings and keeping those good in their first 5 years of growth. We also, I believe I spoke with you all last year about it, but since Daryl left, I had him archive all of our sites, and I realized we have 400 restoration riparian projects historically, and I've been to maybe a couple hundred of them, if that. And so we started going back and realizing that a lot of these older sites never got the funding to go back and remove some of the protection that we put on them so that they can grow. And now 20, 30 years later, they're being girdled by those protection supplies, I guess. So the blue tubes that you see everywhere, or we do the wire cages to protect from deer and beaver, and then they can be killing these sites. So I've started my group, the restoration projects team, and then the stewardship team have created these stream team projects, or stream team volunteer events that we're running every other Wednesday, taking them out to these old 30-year-old sites, 25-plus-year-old sites, and they are removing those things from the trees so that the trees can keep growing. So we completed 6 project sites, which equaled about 15.3 acres. And then we did a big push to get contact reinitiated with these 300 plus landowners that some of them aren't the same. Some of them might have an address, some of them might have a creek, so I have to do some digging. But yeah, that was a huge push from us last year. I don't have a great number for how many trees we freed from the cages, but that's something we're changing how we're recording this year. For 2025 in stream, we only completed 1 project, so this is an area that we felt the drop in funding, especially in stream. There were a couple key funding sources that we were utilizing every year that just went away. So we were still able to complete this one. Eli installed 39 pieces of large woody debris in Kenny Creek, which is a tributary to the North Fork Nooksack. That one's a pretty cool project, and that's my highlight, so I'll talk about that in a second. As far as the nursery goes, we did our standard 16,000 native plants in pots. We also, with the help of Conservation District and the Climate Commitment Act, were able to buy this cooler refrigerator trailer on the left side of the screen there. Helps us keep bare root plants as bare roots and prolong a little bit of what we're doing. So if something comes up, I don't have to immediately rush to get the plants out. And then we also created this gravel bed on the right side. So it's a newer type of growing plants that I believe came from Michigan or Minnesota. I can't recall which one, and was piloted out here by the Plant Material Center out of Bow. So far, we're seeing early signs that these growing plants in the summer this way really boost their root growth over the summer, and allows them to be planted into the ground earlier in the year than other plants would be, and still grow well. There is somewhat of a choke point that when we have in-stream projects, those are done at the end of October, and we need to get plants in the ground quickly. And if it's a big site and we're carrying thousands of pots, that takes a long time. So having these ready to go has been huge. Granted, I bought all of them and piloted them for in-stream projects, and we lost our funding. So, you roll with the punches. As far as monitoring goes, I just have one graph that we pulled. So for our vegetation monitoring, this graph is showing the distribution of healthy, stressed, and dead plants between 23, 24, and 25. The number of plants is a little different in 2025 just because we had bigger sites that took us longer to maintain and get through, but we were able to get through 68 of our planting polygons that span 23 water bodies, working with 30 landowners. So even though the numbers were a little different this year, it was about the same amount a scope of work as it has been annually. And the percentage, the distribution of healthy to stress and dead hasn't changed much, which is always good to see, right? So we're still looking at about like over, it's kind of a weird inflated statistic, but across all the sites that we monitored this year, we're still looking at above 85% survival, which is great. I started working with volunteers to gather up all of our historic vegetation data and compile it, putting it in, single areas, single folders, because my drive is a mess right now. And the hope with that is to partner with some student groups at Western Washington University so that they can use the real data as a project and kind of use it to learn with. So we're partnering with a couple of different professors there. And then we've continued to partner with Skagit Valley College. They have a couple different classes that they bring out annually to one of our sites, and we walk them through monitoring with us. And I split my crew up, and each of them gets 2 to 3 students, and they monitor a site for us. And then we also created a volunteer pilot program last year to get volunteers out monitoring with my crews. I'm hopeful, we're looking for funding this year to make that a little bit more robust, as I have like 120 sites to monitor, and it's just becoming difficult with the spread and the span of them. So we're looking at that. I think that's a pretty cool option this year. Get some interns and volunteers out doing vegetation monitoring on these older project sites. As far as our conifer tests, for any of you who aren't aware, when we started seeing a decline in western red cedar, we started testing 4 other non-native species of conifer to see how they would survive in this region. We've monitored 21 of the polygons, so 21 sites. I haven't run the full analysis yet, but upon glancing at it, it looks like they're about the same, still looking pretty strong, but not that much stronger than western red cedar, where I'm like switching our entire restoration protocol. We also partnered with a Western Washington grad student, Ash Mickelwright, and she took all of that conifer data, really helped me clean it up, organize it into a way that can be analyzed a little better. And so she called it at 2024, took all of that data, compiled it, helped me come up with the system that I'll use moving forward, and then is looking at it in different ways as her master's thesis. So waiting to see what comes from there. But yeah, the data compilation, organization, and I will say some of these trees are getting huge now, and they're planted 2019. There's some coastal redwoods that are monstrous. The sequoias, the giant sequoias, just the trunk growth is wild compared to some of our native trees. So it's been kind of a fun project for me. As far as in-stream goes, we completed 5 in-stream habitat assessments, so 1.5 stream miles, and then monitored 10 in-stream sites for spawning salmon. 3 of them had salmon. That's not to say the other ones did not have salmon, but with how we schedule these, we haven't fully timed out like allotting the resources and time yet to actually do this when the water comes in, or like we do it historically when salmon would be there, and we found that those are kind of changing these years. So we're working on retooling that to improve that process next year, or this year now. I didn't realize that was a video I clicked on. I don't think anything really happens there. So the project highlights. So the Kenny Creek project was a huge project for us this past year. I would say we always collaborate with these partners, but this collaboration was on a different scale. So Whatcom Land Trust bought the property. Whatcom Conservation District supported us in funding the in-stream project that we did. So the large woody debris and the gravel in the channel. Whatcom County Public Works went through a different funding source to replace the fish ladder that was failing for spring Chinook specifically, and replace the culvert that was getting blocked up with all the floods we've been having, and drop a huge bridge in there. And then I found funding to then go plant all of the property per Whatcom Land Trust stipulations. So I think we've done about half of it now. So the field is just, the picture on the top is half blue tube. So we had some volunteers out there help us with that. And, all of this has been done in partnership with Lummi Nation, Nooksack Indian Tribe, Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. So this was huge. For me, planning a site is normally pretty simple because we just go out and do it. This one I had to check with all the partners. We would do volunteer work parties, who's doing what on this site? Are the contractors still out there? Can we take volunteers? So it was a test. But all of the work that we did will help restore Kenny Creek access to spring Chinook. for about 2.5 miles. That one's huge. This is one of the last remaining full barriers for spring Chinook that I can think of. And so this was a big priority for a lot of the restoration partners in this area. I did drop a YouTube link in there. I don't think I'll have time to go through that, but it was a video that Land Trust made. And all of us were kind of featured in it, and just shows one of the volunteer parties in the planting. It was, they did a good job. It was uplifting, pretty great. But this is a cool project.
This is a welcome, welcome, can,
Oh,
can
what was that? I didn't hear.
it's by welcome.
It's by, yeah. So if you cross that Welcome Bridge and then go left up North Fork Road there. It's just, if you know where the river washed out that road, a few years back, it's right before that. And then I should have some more work parties coming up in case any of y'all want to come help me plant. It's a pretty cool area, pretty neat area. My crew was out there when we were having the flooding recently, and they were all kind of scared because one of them was like, "Oh, I heard that mountain in the back is called Slide Mountain." I was like, why would you say that? Oh, it's pouring down rain, everywhere's flooding. It's like, can you not see the fear on these 18 to 25-year-olds' faces? All right. So then coming up for 2026, I just kind of pulled a few of the things to highlight. We've got 3 new projects with Washington Conservation District on Smith Creek, Kendall Creek, Campbell Creek. Those have all kind of started in different fashions. 4 of my salmon recovery funding sites will come online this year. Bell Creek, Nooksack River, and Bear Creek. The 2 of the sites share the same Bell Creek, Nooksack River lines. The picture is the Bear Creek site. It's a big Whatcom Land Trust property that I'm super excited to be out on, but also is very daunting because it's terrible access and out in the middle of nowhere off of that North Fork Road as well. We've got annual goal of 30,000 plants in the ground, and then we're hoping to move through 6 sites for that legacy protection removal as well. Similar 15,000 plants coming in March for potting. Again, if any of y'all want to come hang out at the nursery with me, we have potting parties for the community, and then another 8,000 for the gravel bed. I'm hoping we get some in-stream projects to plant them out on. One thing that's new this year is the legacy assessment. So I was talking about how we have all these old projects. We thought it would be a great opportunity for us to go back to these sites and do some form of monitoring as far as like, did we succeed in planting a healthy riparian forest buffer? So we're working with some professors at Western to come up with the protocol in a fashion that is not very time consuming for us, or like is time consuming but efficient. And we typically don't do the science, so having their input's been huge. But we also had a volunteer coming in, and a lot of these I don't have great archive information, footage, anything. So we're looking at historic aerials, and then looking at updated aerials, whether we do that with the drone or whether it's just pulled from satellite imagery. So this is one of the ones on Black Slough. You can see kind of the middle area has nothing really around the creek there. And then on the right is an updated aerial, and there's still a large area of reed canary grass in the center of that buffer, but that's due to beaver and things, and the forest grew on the outside was kind of our initial goal. So yeah, this one will be coming up this year. I think this will be a really cool project. As far as in-stream projects go, we have 3. Those darker green in there are the 3 that we are going to do this year. We have funding secured for them. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom we're applying for funding, and we potentially could do them this year, possibly next year. Depends on what funding comes through or what that looks like. So we're kind of waiting to hear back from that. But yeah, I think we're excited to get back into more of the in-stream projects as well. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I had put together for you all. Sorry, I speed talked through it, trying to keep up on my time. Rebecca will yell at me if I go over my 10 minutes. Just kidding, Rebecca. I know you won't. But yeah, y'all have any questions or thoughts?
I have a question. What age do you take volunteers?
Volunteers, if they're kids, just have to have an adult with them and they have to sign a different waiver. But I mean, I actually don't know if we would take a baby, but
I have a soon to be 16-year-old who will have to do volunteer work if he's not working.
Oh, send them out. Yeah, we do that. I would say if they can check the our website, Sarah normally posts the events that we've got openings for, and people can just sign up, and as long as they can get a ride or get to our meeting spot, then should be fine. think. I don't actually know. I just tell them where to plant. But I can look into that.
Oh, if they can get there on their own, do they need an adult? Like if
You
it's
might just have to
back out there?
maybe just some paperwork. I'm not too sure. I'll look into it and I'll send y'all something. No
Great
worries.
work. I love
Thanks.
watching your presentations.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, one of the things I've noticed, James, is how NC has moved more east. I mean, I've been here 7 years,
Yeah.
and just over those 7 years, I've noticed how much more your projects are moving. And that's a positive in itself, because you've hit a lot of the lower hanging fruit that were closer to the sea. And are moving upstream, and that's just like the salmon. So good to
Yep.
see all-
Yeah. Yeah. And there's multiple factors to that. I think part of it nowadays is that funding, since the funding landscape has kind of changed, it's gotten a little more competitive for us. We used to just get a lot of big open funding sources that are just here's money, do what you want. And those have kind of sunset for us. We had a couple big ones that when I started, Daryl was just holding on to these pots of money to do whatever. And so he was very, very able to like, oh, you want a project done? Great, let's do it. You want one done? Great, let's do it. And that's shifted a little bit for me. I mean, we went from, I think Daryl was managing 5 to 6 contracts or grants. And in the past year, I've gotten up to like 40. So that's been a steep learning curve as well. But yeah, a part of that is going where the funding will allow us to. The partnership with the conservation district has been huge for us. They have funding that's coming in that hasn't really been touched by, any of the other issues going on. Some of theirs has, but the ones that I've been using for riparian don't. And so that's been a steady place for me to find projects. And then, yeah, I mean, working with the ag owners, kind of like you were saying too, a lot of the low hanging fruit's been done. So a lot of the areas that could use restoration now are typically the people that have been holding out for a long time, right? So we've got to find some different ways or build some different connections. But yeah, it's moving us around the county pretty well, I'd say.
Well, this is all very impressive, yeah, and really very, really, yeah, a lot in the scope of work as far as what you all are getting done and planning to this year. So we at the PUD are all really happy to be able to contribute and support you.
So I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, yeah, no further questions or?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
I'll accept a motion.
Okay, I'd like to take the action to approve funding in the amount of $20,000 for Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association to support Washington Conservation Corp work on habitat restoration projects for 2026.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic, and thank you for coming, James. I also would love to come out and join a volunteer work party this year, and
I'll send you my kid.
yeah, I'll sure, yeah.
He's pretty strong. He can move the heavy wheelbarrows.
There you
Let's
go.
put him to work.
Yeah.
I got projects. All right.
He's a football player.
Yeah.
So.
And
Oh,
wrestler.
great. Yep.
He's a wrestler, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So if we run across any bears or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, he'll protect you.
Good. Well, thanks, y'all. I will send information on, the information for 16-year-olds volunteering, and I'll make sure y'all know of the opportunities to come out whenever it comes up.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again.
I do have the current schedule that they just published a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
and
good.
I'll
Yeah,
just
send
that
it.
to you.
Awesome.
Put that would work.
Okay. Well, let's see, and thanks for your patience, John. If we want, we could skip ahead to that, or
Yeah, it's okay with me, yeah.
Okay. Next items didn't seem that long anyway.
yeah, it probably
Yeah,
probably will be quick.
No,
What's Kurt's got a lot to say?
I think a couple, yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Take a couple minutes. Okay, well, let's move to Resolution 891, approving the use of sole source for peak measure to provide Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories control devices. Kurt, you'd like to say more?
Just the You probably read the background, but we want to go to all Schweitzer products for our power meters. And we have, some stuff here up at plant two that we want to replace. And so Peak Measure is the supplier of Schweitzer. And, Schweitzer is a Washington company, and so and they're a better product and they're a little cheaper, so,
Cheaper and better, I like that.
yeah.
That's why the substations are being taken over by blue boxes nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I only hear good things. I did one follow-up. I talked to you, Chris, yesterday about it. So it was just about understanding what's the scope of the, financial,
So
Impact of these.
the idea is we're replacing 8 of them.
Mhm.
And, we're thinking it's about between 60 and 75,000 total for all of them. We would be installing them, our crews would be installing them. We might have to do some outside, support for calibration. But beyond that, our guys would be doing the installs of them. And right now, the one that's failed is an Eaton product. And the electrical system supervisors told me that the replacement of that one could be between $20,000 and $25,000. I don't know why they're so much more expensive, but that's just one for 20 to 25, and I'm thinking 8 for between 60 and 75.
Wow,
So, and we're planning on doing them this year.
great. I'll make a motion if you're,
Yeah, I guess I just,
Yeah.
but I guess from. Like, I understand there's only a resolution required here because we're waiving competitive bidding requirements for this.
Right.
But it's already in our budget and,
Right, yes, it is.
this is all planned, right?
And Peak Measure, I mean, it's a Schweitzer product, but Peak Measure is the one that sells it. I just, if we place an order with Schweitzer, they can say, okay, it's coming.
go to our reseller.
yeah,
It's coming from Peak. I mean, it's just how Schweitzer does it. But yeah, it is part of the competitive bidding, and there's nobody else we can really buy it from, so.
They're the one, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that all makes sense. You have a
yes,
motion?
yes, I move to approve resolution 891, accepting sole source for peak measures to provide Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories SEL control devices.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Just as something to think about for the future, you have an excellent vendor. And you obviously don't want them to stop being an excellent vendor, but sometimes things change. Somebody gets acquired.
True.
So, just like with our suppliers of chemicals, it's always important to keep prepared for the eventuality. Life always changes, something always happens at some point in the future, maybe 3 years, 50 years, but
True.
just having a culture of being prepared for a plan B.
So there's one more data point that I have that it came from Chris, but is that apparently there's only 2 schools left in the country that does power metering degrees, which one's Wazoo and the other one's somewhere in Texas. And so Schweitzer is in Pullman, and they work with the school, and they have kind of a relationship together to build these products so, I mean, I think that's it. And of course, Pete might be not the one who sells them in the future, but I feel like Schweitzer's is probably gonna be a pretty solid choice for a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Lucky they're here.
Yeah, Schweitzer's got a long and storied history.
Thank you.
They're highly unlikely to be bought out. That would be completely against character for that firm.
Oh, that's good to know.
All right,
Thanks for us. All right, we'll move to resolution number 892, authorizing cancellation of warrant for American Waterworks Association, Inc. Is Stephanie here to?
No, but Annette is.
Annette is, oh, I see. Hi.
Good morning,
Please.
Commissioners. This is your standard needing to void a warrant. And it was the confusion between credit cards and paying the company directly. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's typical business resolution. So is there any questions?
no, it's pretty
I have no
straightforward.
questions.
Yeah,
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 892, canceling the warrant for American Water Works Association.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution approved. And now,
The
Thank you.
highly controversial, long last.
uh,
See who makes the motion, that's it.
we will consider a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Public Utility District Number 1 of Whatcom County honoring General Counsel John K. Sitkin. Do we want
You wanna
to
read the
read this out loud? It's not
Yeah,
terribly
sure, yeah,
long, so
yeah.
would someone like to volunteer or?
A public reading, I'll do it.
Okay.
With the official board. Resolution number 893, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Public Utility District Number 1 of Whatcom County honoring General Counsel John K. Sitkin. Whereas John K. Sitkin served as General Counsel for Public Utility District Number 1 of Whatcom County for 25 years, and whereas John K. Sitkin has provided sound legal advice and steadfast counsel on many complex issues to generations of commissioners, general managers, and staff. Generations. And whereas John K. Sitkin has been a public servant to our constituents, acting with great calm and professional deportment, now therefore be it resolved by the commission as follows. We express our heartfelt appreciation for his long and dedicated career, offering his expertise and commitment for the best interest of our community. We wish him many years of joy in his newfound and well-deserved retirement. Adopted by the Commission of Public Utility District Number 1 of Whatcom County at its regular meeting held on the 27th day of January 2026. We are
I will. It was a privilege to work with you, and over the generations.
I know, who put that in there?
I did.
Demanded it.
Should we make a motion first?
Yes.
Yes,
Procedurally, yes, let's take a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve, the resolution that was just read, resolution 893. Honoring John Sitkin.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we've already signed this and framed it for you, so,
How about a picture under the Whatcom PUD sign with four of you?
Yeah.
And a
Well, you
hug.
should be there. And a hug.
Hug would be fun.
Oh, I'm glad I put my lipstick on. We're gonna get John without a tie for the picture. Yeah. Oh, my God.
You got two council commissioners work together.
for your service.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Chinese kitchen, all right then. There we go. Do the little turn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, super, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to take this, John.
Oh, I
Oh.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, and I just want to add, actually, I wasn't around for generations. But I was able to work so closely with John, and it was such a privilege. And I learned so much from him over the last 5 years. And just observing how much he has cared for the PUD, I'm sure he still does. How dedicated he is to not only sound legal advice, but good government practices.
Mhm.
So anyway, I just want to add that.
You're a treasure.
Oh, thank you.
Where are you going to celebrate? In Disneyland?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I can take my wife there for Mother's Day, she loves Disneyland. But, we're just laying low right now.
Laying low,
Yeah.
driving fast and taking risks?
Enjoying being in your actual house? Yeah, yeah. We did go to Hawaii in December.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's hundreds of stories that we won't bring up today.
Over the generation.
Over the generations, and I just wanted to say is that, you just really consistently showed up. on complex issues.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just, there's just no way to quantify or document that. You know, you just kept showing up
Okay.
and thoughtfully so.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
Well, practice of law is not just a science, it's also an art, and
yeah,
comes with experience.
yeah.
The
Okay.
artist.
And, you know, hopefully we won't run all of the legal stuff aground, you know, in your absence. You know, we've got a good team.
You do. That's
Yeah.
good. You're good. That's enough about me.
I feel so emotional. You both are leaving us. Anyway,
Well, we've had a long history.
I know,
Back to
yeah,
city
thanks for
council,
being
so.
here.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Way back.
I think we have like the
The longest
longest
days.
history.
You
do.
do.
Yeah.
That's way back. But
Yeah,
city-
That's way back.
at least-
way
Not
back.
all the time.
Start using generations with.
It's the nineties, yeah, that's.
It's funny that I got involved with PUD, I was brought in on Infinite. I had worked with a developer who had been trying first to run power to BCS. Had helped someone who was consulting to the PUD and trying to find the easements. And then after that, I knew Tom, and then Tom brought me in, Anderson brought me in to work with Infinite. And Brian Walters and I we had a big whiteboard up here. Rebecca probably remembers this. We would sit there and whiteboard all day, all the issues we could try to come up with in running fiber throughout the county. And then we go to meetings and it would drive me crazy because you had members of the citizens sit in the back, and in the public, you'd hear about where the contract was gonna go, and they come in and underbid and just steal low hanging fruit all the time. And so
Oh,
Infinite
yeah.
had a hard time being successful because these guys had their own truck. He was a former lineman, one of them was a former lineman, and they just run out and run fiber to wherever you try to go. So we try to cut deals with school districts or institutions that they may have a hard time. That became problematic. It was just, you know, it was,
One thing after another.
yeah, and so that was hard, but,
Well, you just told me something brand new. And that's that the unintended consequences of positive action, the desire to do broadband, positive intention, unintended consequences, not so good. But then there's unintended consequences, so the unintended consequences, and that was bringing you into the PUD, so there you go.
It'd be a good background. That kind of, and Jake Smith was retiring and brought me in. And Lisa and Blaine, just the story, the day we got, I don't know if you all know this history, but Blaine had a sewer project. And the consultant removed some native bones that they discovered to Colorado.
Oh.
Instead of calling.
I just want you to know, my dad was the water quality specialist at the time, but he was on leave.
But the day I was introduced as Blaine's counsel was the day the settlement plumbing was.
Yes.
presented.
Yes, and then you were our prosecutor.
I was the prosecutor
For many
for many
years.
years, and we said, let's move that to outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back,
Way back. Yeah.
yeah,
You were just a baby, right?
Yeah,
I was.
Yeah,
I
just
was
an
baby.
infant.
Yes,
but thank you.
Well, you have a long history of being scrappy. I
Oh,
like it.
yeah.
Yeah, look at all of that.
oh, you know, when you
I was
learn when to be
thinking
scrappy and when not to be
20s.
scrappy.
Yeah.
Tools.
Oh, that's the hard part for me.
Tool belt. I lost my tool belt. I left it at home.
And it's been a pleasure, all that,
Oh, thank you.
And you're welcome back anytime, come
Oh,
visit, yeah.
and I
He
got to
ain't
work
coming
for your
back.
firm.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure, yeah.
thank you.
John, will you be involved in adjudication at all moving forward? Or
I-
you
No,
are out.
you know, I have told the court that if they wanted a water master to process, you know, like the exempt wells, when that came around in a year or two, I'd be willing to do it. So I kept my license active largely for that opportunity, because you need to be a court commissioner or water master, judicial role, you have an active water license, so just we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Are
That's
you
the-
gonna stay on the committee?
Oh, no, I stepped down, and I don't know what they did, but I recommended Matt Wells and or Sarah Grace. And I think Matt was going to start attending until the court issued an order, and I'm off their email list, so I don't know if,
Just like that, you're just dropped.
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's great. I hope you guys have a great time. Enjoy
Yeah.
your retirement. and-
Well,
Yeah.
planning trips.
That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you for coming in person today.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
I was surprised when you said you'd come in person. I was like.
Yeah, no, that's what the citizen can have going.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna have a tie burning ceremony? Sorry. I was like-
I gave away some to my son, who's now a prosecutor for the city of Seattle.
Oh, how really?
That's
That's incredible.
Summer, and he's trial team again for the city of Seattle.
Wow, that's great.
He asked you, he goes, I had a 3-5 hearing today. What's a 3-5 hearing again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to retire. You forget it. That's it. Let it go.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, John.
John.
25 years, we really appreciate having you for one last meeting pro bono.
Yeah. Gotta say in public comment, and don't mean to embarrass Chris, but I think the mole farm you have is outside the scope of your authority under the statute. You're not allowed to raise animals.
Noted. Fantastic. Well, do we have additional public comment today? Anyone else like to address anything?
Would you like to say anything?
Todd Livingston here. I would just say that in my interim term as PUD commissioner, I really relied on and appreciated the help and the advice and insight and guidance that John Sitkin gave. And for somebody who was here for just a short period of time to drink from the fire hose, John really made it a little more palatable. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a firefighter, that's
Good words, good words.
Right. Yeah, right. Likewise, in my first year here, very much benefited, appreciate your counsel and wisdom and all your experience here. Very much, very much. And I will close public comment, seeing none. We don't have executive session today, is that correct?
correct.
Commissioner.
Commissioner reports, Tom.
Right, okay. We will move to commissioner reports, starting with Commissioner Arnett.
Yeah, I have nothing exciting to report. I, like both of you, I attended Wapuda, but I did it online. I'm on the water board, again this year. Well, I've been there before, and it's, not exciting, because most of what we talk about is for potable water. And I also attended the board meeting, which was a good rundown of other committee meetings. So I did hear a bit about the BEAD funding at that meeting, and we approved our federal slate for Wapuda and they will be going next month. Wapuda will be going to lobby.
This month?
I think it's February. This is January. We're still in January. Lots of conversation about transmission and what the heck is going on with the Columbia River. And I think it'll be an interesting session. That's it for me.
Want to go next?
Okay, yeah, sure, I'll go. Sorry, I talked about broadband, so I won't repeat that. On the energy front, it's, there's a lot of bills, that may or may not, get serious attention. The things that there's many things that concern the PUD community as a whole. We're mostly on the margins of the things that concern the PUD community, except for transmission. We're in a place on the transmission bill where we're trying to identify a path forward which allows something that the legislature seems to be very passionate about, which is creating a transmission authority. The perception is that there is strong legislative support for that. The PUD Association came out against it in the previous year. And the conversation in the Energy Committee was, to me, was very clear that there was an awareness that there's a strong conviction on the part of the legislature to pursue a transmission authority. There's lots of commissioners across the state with a diversity of backgrounds coming out, seeing the potential of a transmission authority. In the discussion, there was a general head nod to work with the legislature to try to steer it as in a way that gives staff leverage. What I was surprised by is that the tone of the room in the Energy Committee was very much concerns. But at the end, while the meeting was closing, before a vote could be taken on it to change that position, Liz said, so we're gonna go ahead and oppose. And I was very surprised by that very small end of the meeting modification of position. And I have tons of respect for our executive director, but I'm surprised to hear that Wapouta staff signing in with an oppose on the transmission. I said last year, I think the right approach is concerns rather than oppose. Despite the conversation, which was very clearly reflected concerns, seeing some benefits, and some people liking the potential ideas associated with the transmission authority, and some people being opposed to it, I was really surprised to have us going down as an organization in the opposed category. I'm not aligned with that. I just want to be really clear about that. I've heard from everybody on the subject, and now it's a potential source of conflict for me. So
I have more to say about that, and wonder if we should discuss it more first before moving on to other parts of your report, or.
Well, that's the big part of my report. I think I just want to echo what Chris said about concerns at PPC over the hydro system and the determining potential modification to the utilization of the hydro system that was shared among PPC members. I really don't have anything to add or go in either direction for or against that. So that's one other thing I wanted to report on. And I plan to go to the next Wapouta meetings in February. That's you asked me to attend a Council of Governments meeting.
I was at Energy Northwest, so.
Right, and I'll just mention that, the hot button issue is I-5. Lots of stakeholders in Whatcom County, are seeing the increased fatalities on I-5. And other issues. The Whatcom Council of Government strategy is to recognize the fact that the state does not want to upgrade I-5 through Bellingham. The cost is at least the lower bound on the cost for adding an additional lane, for example, on I-5 is $100 million per mile. That's the lowest possible cost per mile. And that doesn't take into consideration all the interchange upgrades. So the state doesn't want to spend $3 billion in this community. And the approach that Whatcom, I'm almost done. The approach that Whatcom Council of Governments wants to take is to shed highway traffic for local, basically anything that's local would not use I-5. So we wouldn't use I-5 for one exit. We would use I-5 to get out of town as a community. And it's easy to say that, will the community comply with that or not, is the question. So that's the hot potato at Whatcom Council of Government right now, it's the I-5 question. And lots of studies happening.
That's been a comment from WASDOT for 25 years, and that Bellinghamsters use I-5 as a material. And but Bellingham doesn't have the surface streets to connect each side of I-5 to the other crossings, if you will, to be effective as an alternative traffic way. And so I-5 is more efficient for motor vehicles. That's the tension that WASDOT has.
Chris, you were gonna say something?
Well, I'm just, the way that this is characterized is upgrading all the interchanges. And what people are forgetting here is originally those were construction on and off ramps that were not built to any kind of interstate specification at all. And there were actual designs, and think about the State Street and Ohio Street exit, for instance. That thing makes no sense. And it was designed for dump trucks. And when the highway was closed, they ran out of money and they paved the construction on and off ramps and called it good. So this was never done per the original design, and they call it an upgrade. It's like, no, it's restoration to what was originally spec that they didn't build. And you know, it's one of those things, because just I asked, why would they design it like this? It didn't make any sense.
They didn't.
Yeah, that was the answer. They didn't. That was a temporary expedient just for construction, and then it became permanent.
Well, that's a bummer, huh? Yeah. Don't want to spend the money to save our lives.
So come back and when you.
Are you?
I'm done with my report.
Is who's on the transportation committee from Whatcom County? Is anybody?
We're not designated. It's not a committee we attend.
No, I don't mean
I mean
us. No, I mean like from our slate of.
Oh, the city and the
legislators.
county both have designees.
You mean the state legislative
At the
committee?
state at the
Oh,
state legislative.
I think,
Transportation. I think Sharon was before, right? It wasn't.
I think Rep. Bramwell's on the House Transportation. So yeah, it might be something to get in touch about.
May as well.
Their committees have, they changed, but
Yeah.
I think, if I recall, I think he is. And then,
As a bike commuter, I'm a good person to advocate for highways, so.
right. Yeah, and also Senator Schumich being in her last session, I wanted to just also share some updates from our trips to Olympia. I was able to connect with the senator about the transmission bill. Just more background on that. In the interim between sessions, there's, I think, been continued a lot of work between stakeholders, working up amendments to the bill and its its basic proposal to create a new transmission authority office in Washington State to promote and assist in building transmission in Washington, particularly Cross Cascade. I understand there was a lot of work done where WPUDA's input through the Department of Commerce was worked in, and thing was that at the time of our committee meetings 2 weeks ago, no one had seen updated language publicly yet, but it was, we had heard that there was going to be a striker, basically a new version of the bill introduced as a substitute, but with the same bill number and title and everything, but no one had seen it yet. There were still some things getting worked on. I think some details, particularly around how the SEPA exemption would work. And so it was a little frustrating, like going into our WPUDA committee meetings on energy and government affairs where we discussed it. No one had updated language. So all we had to go off of as far as making, taking a vote and determining a position action was, we had already basically agreed to adopt a position previously that was opposed, but with, engaging and moving for amendments. And so that held, but I think we did, and I spoke and I think we were able to give the support to staff to have the leeway to be flexible and kind of changing our position as amendments were made and to be in dialogue, right?
I want to
And
be
so-
clear, you're talking about the transmission authority.
Yes, that bill.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
There's
it's-
lots of
it's
them.
part of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Transmission authority.
It's inside of 5466.
Talking about 5466, yeah, that one, specifically. So what happened is,
Senate bill has 65%.
Yeah. and then what happened the following week was, so there was a public hearing, and Waputa did sign in opposed. However, because at that point, they'd had a draft, actually, I was able to receive it on Friday afternoon and get it to the Waputa staff. There's only a few days, time to review, but they were actually quite pleased to see that many of the things that they've been asking for were accepted in this new draft. And so the actual testimony given in the committee hearing was very positive and appreciative. And then what I heard was that the senator's response was also very, very warm and inviting more input and red lines and things like that to the draft from Waputa. And then, it was all, so it sounds like even though, it was technically opposed, actually, it wasn't really received that way, and there's dialogue happening and work being done in the bill still, where the utilities are in dialogue. And so there's, I think it's a fast moving session where I think it's scheduled for executive session in the committee this Friday. And so just to know that, things are, from my time there, over the course of, being there 2 weeks in a row, I was able to see that, communication was improving, helped to bridge the gap a little bit. And it seems like it's going to get somewhere to where Waputa may be more comfortable, by next month, when we'll have another moment to update the decision with where it's currently at, but they may be more comfortable, changing positions on it. And there's, narrowing the scope of the authority, even there's been some loose discussion about, not calling it authority anymore, framing it as something differently with a narrower scope. It's in progress. So there is still, but it's all very likely and understood that it's probably going to pass. Something is going to pass this session. So, and ideally it'll be something that everyone can feel is a step forward, I hope.
I have a comment, I guess, and some questions about, so, Commissioner Dishmani, I'm not used to saying last names, I like to say it, but Commissioner Dishmani, he brought up what I think is a good point, saying that, I'm not okay with this because I'm in favor of, you didn't appreciate them saying that they were opposed.
I like the
Yeah.
concerns position.
Yeah, so, and I have concerns about the transmission authority, and I would like to see it reflected that way also, that there's concerns. But what is, when you were in your government affairs meeting talking about this, and when you were in, your meetings, did it seem like the majority of the membership was in agreement with Waputa that this should be something that we're opposed to, or something that do you know what, and at what point what's the responsibility of Waputa to their members? Like if Liz and, her group of lobbyists say, you know what, we're opposed to that. But
Here's how I would read the tea leaves in that
Yeah.
situation. How I'm reading the tea leaves is that the managers committee is like solid opposed.
Oh, I see.
And so she has to walk a line between the commissioners and the managers committee. So if the managers committee is 100% opposed, like unanimously, and commissioners are like, it might be good, might not be, I think she's trying to triangulate that and trying to find a position that's somewhere in the middle.
Okay, yeah, that's just what I'm interested in, and how
So-
they.
And it's a tough job.
The
Yeah.
management committee is not monolithic any more than the commissioners committees
Okay.
are. And most of the input that Nicholas gave, that it sounds like was adopted now, came from several of the managers, myself included.
Yeah, I know, yeah, that's what I.
So, there's, in general, creating an additional regulatory body does not improve efficiency. Just flat out. And I think that if all of the suggestions that were made are implemented on this, it would be neutral, possibly a little bit helpful. It doesn't really solve the fundamental underlying problems with building large infrastructure in Washington State or America. But it would be marginally helpful. And I think, so I'm in the concerns camp.
That's why I like that position.
It might help. If it's a typical new regulator, it will make matters worse. And we will just have another series of hoops to jump through for every project, where we already have 20.
I also have another question about that, like, why does it have to be a regulatory
It's not a
body?
regulatory.
Oh, it's not,
I'm
'cause
characterizing it that way.
It's not.
oh, I
it's not
see,
conceived
because,
that way.
you know, if it's,
Well, it's not conceived that way, but if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And what's happening is they're setting it up as another step that you have to go through. Now, if that step is helpful, which is our hope in the legislation, then that's great. If it's not, if it simply becomes another place for people to intervene and shut down a project, then, you know, we just made matters worse.
Right, I understand that view. It's,
And that's what regulators do.
boy, I mean, it's obviously, we had this hot conversation
You know-
last year, and we'll probably continue
Yeah, and you
to
know
have
what,
it.
I disagree,
Yeah.
and one of the things that matters here is who's the director of commerce, and I'm really sorry to see Joe go, and Joe didn't go for more money. That's all I'm gonna say.
well, right, we have a new director of commerce now. They're, so, you know, I understand it to be, it's, you know, there's a bunch of changes made that I think we're gonna see, introduced here. And so like I was saying, I think it's likely that, you know, we have more Wakuda meetings coming up mid-February. It'll be after our next commission meeting in 2 weeks, but, I would say maybe make a point to discuss it on the 10th,
Okay.
where we have a current updated draft with the striker version, all public, and we could make a decision then about if we want to like come in with any particular points to bring up in the Wakuda committees that week. Because I think that'll right be at the point where it'll have moved out of the Senate and it'll be going through the House, where going through committee all over again. So
So would we be okay as the chair to put legislative action, legislative update or whatever legislative issues on the new business for next meeting, February 10th, so that,
We could do that, or you could just handle it as part of your commissioner reports.
yeah, I don't
We're
care.
doing, yeah.
yeah, we could just do it in commissioner reports if that's.
I just want to get a
all
copy
good.
of any key votes.
Yeah.
For the meeting.
And that's a big one that's gonna have implications for a long time. So I feel
That's
like
one is if there's anything else we should flag, let's flag it too.
okay, so let's just leave space on the 10th to yeah,
5466.
discuss anything if we need to, you know, be able to come as a commission on it. And then you know, potentially if we wanted to deliver any comments on bills during the session, that would be a good chance to make a decision there.
Is
So
that gonna be after or before cutoff?
it'll be after the House of Origin cutoff, but I believe, but you know, not before the.
Yeah.
It will be with 1 month to go in the legislative session. I think it goes until about March 10th or 11th, I think,
Yeah.
so 12th or, yeah. So, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, likewise, just a little more about Wakuda. In the Commissioner Education Roundtable, we had some really enlightening presentations from the mid-Columbia counties about how they're dealing with new large single loads. You know, Chelan and Grant being kind of really, you know, having dealt with the first wave of data center growth in Washington, you know, going back decades ago, and are dealing with this current wave as well. And really interesting to see how they were dealing with it in rate structures and in their agreements in order to protect their other ratepayers. And you know, and seeing, like, as you'd expect, where the data centers are willing to pay above and beyond a higher rate, and actually they're even serving them at above cost, and then using that revenue to keep rates lower for their residential customers and such. And it's cool to see how they're, and to talk to some of their regulatory teams too, to see how they're really just on the cutting edge of, you know, being come up with these policies, you know, independent of what, you know, the feds in the state are starting to try to move on it. So I would look to, you know, learn more from them if as how we might follow course if at some point we have to deal with a new large single load here at Whatcom. So.
Well, and I, there's some things about that are scary to me. You might be happy for me to say this because I think, I know, Commissioner Arnett, you're the most, unenthusiastic about the data center subject. And one of the things that scares me and that I got in this last set of Wakuda meetings is that originally I thought that data centers are like aluminum plants, meaning like to pencil, they needed dirt cheap electricity. And in the last few months, I'm realizing, because I'm like, you gotta connect the dots. Like nuclear fusion is not gonna be cheap, the next round of the first round of SMRs is not gonna be cheap. So why are they funding this stuff, right? So like what comes back to me is, oh my gosh, they can outpay the retail customer. And when you realize that, okay, you can use them to subsidize it. But we're in America where it's impossible to build things. So I shouldn't say that, where it's really hard to build things. So my new concern is like, they've got this giant sucking sound and they'll pay whatever. So I'm just, it's a new thing that I'm processing, and I'm sure it'll change my view, all these things in our maps are connected. And so when something, awareness of something changes, then it impacts all these other pieces, and I just wanted to share that as an important concern.
And also just, if we put a data center, whatever, here in Whatcom County.
Is it gonna be data or data?
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Like, that's the big problem. So, it's not gonna help residents in Whatcom County. They're not gonna subsidize.
Well, I think that's the job.
PSE's
We have to make it.
customer. Yeah, that's not gonna be a thing. So anyway,
We gotta make it actually community benefit, otherwise it's.
what's the point, right? Why would we?
Charge extra and plow it into the geothermal project.
Yeah, but the geothermal project, we don't know. It's
Or
not-
transmission upgrades or whatever,
Some kind of fixed asset.
substation upgrades, all of that stuff that are on.
Can you imagine? I drive by. I don't know. I just love seeing the open fields and the mountain and being connected to the ground.
Water issue, but
It's never gonna be a thing for me.
That's okay.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since John is here, we'll bring it up.
Well,
That's some more promoter work for John.
Run.
I guess on that note, but also note that there is a data center bill, that's in the House right now, that's, kind of come out of, recommendations from the state data center work group, and, it's, I think maybe we could, we'll put that on the agenda too for the 10th, or as far as where we were planning to discuss where we might want to, weigh in on it.
Do we know the bill number there for the data center?
I don't have it in front of me, but, it had a hearing last week, last Thursday.
What's the content? I mean, what's the?
It really makes sense
It's-
for us to weigh in on it, but particularly since you're so passionate on it, I think we should weigh in on it, so.
Well, I mean, it's basically just, creating some specialized terms for, large single loads. I haven't looked at it in great detail, or haven't had time yet, but it's, sponsored by, Beth Dolio, the chair of the House Environment and Energy Committee. Yeah, I think that maybe, let's kind of see where it is and see how, what the, the version that's moving through the Senate is, and at that point in February, because I imagine it's the kind of thing that will.
Yeah, if it's alive still.
It'll change.
I everybody knows that I'm very passionately against these data centers. We don't have to say that, but I will say that if there were an equal benefit to the community, like if there were, oh, hey, we're gonna plant a bunch of, whatever, we're gonna build a data center out there off of, Grandview, or Bay Road or whatever, I would want something of equal value for the community, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I'm trusting, I
like-
mean, any one of us has an intuition, a concern about something, I think it's a real opportunity to, let that impact policy.
Yeah.
In a beneficial way, so. So I think it's good, I'm glad you're bringing up your concerns.
And I mean, big, they're gonna have to reinvest something in their community.
It would only, I mean, we're probably all of the same mind that we would only even consider doing it if it's certainly of substantial and clear benefit, to our community locally and our other customers and everybody, not just,
Just
The,
another
the
customer.
new customer,
I
right?
had literally
Into-
seen them come
into
into
PUD, right?
areas that I
Yeah.
lived, and there was no public benefit at all.
Mhm.
And people so excited, oh gosh, we're getting Google, we're getting, oh, what a great deal, I lived in the Dalles. It didn't, they were thinking jobs for some reason, but you don't, it doesn't generate jobs. It just uses resources, and then Facebook, when I lived in Prineville, built up on the hill, it didn't generate jobs. As a matter of fact, they now across the street where a herd of elk, I used to almost every morning watch out in the field, they ended up putting solar panels up there to feed the Facebook center. The entire thing, you got no runs of elk through there anymore. Anyway, I could go on for days. Huh?
Is the oak shape?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so, I know other people aren't as passionate with stuff like that as I am, but. Makes me
Okay. No, glad to
Yeah,
I had a water issue.
okay, yeah, I had a little more to report out, but actually, why not, why not, how about, I'll give you back the floor for.
Well, the main thing is that, the municipal water law obviously the comments that the, public water communities are making over years now, relating to, ecology policy, impact in municipal water law continue, the same script continues to play out. We provide input and nothing really seems to change. And the point that some years ago, you suggested, Chris, that, it may have to be litigated.
I would think we need to have this discussion in executive session.
Yeah.
I would suggest.
Okay, yeah, for a future meeting. And I guess I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that. Let's plan to do that at our next commission meeting. We don't have to do that today. So let's add an executive section for talking about policy, ecology policy, municipal water law for the next meeting, if that's okay.
Does that seem like a good time to do it, or would the next meeting?
It doesn't have to be, for me, it's not urgent.
Yeah, well, I need to get the scope of what you're.
Yeah, we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Maybe we can have
Yeah.
since
Let's not set
somebody
it
here-
now, let's just.
we can have a conversation and then scope it.
First
Get it
scope,
on
but
the
then
agenda.
build a strategy.
Not wanting to, share everything that I learned from those back-to-back trips to Olympia, focusing on what you guys need to know. I did attend the Energy Northwest board meetings last week, also quite enlightening. Heard some report outs from BPA that their rehiring situation is looking good, though there's still some serious challenges with staffing shortages at the Bureau of Land Management and Army Corps of Engineers and other agencies that they work closely with and depend on in BPA's operations, and so it's been a bit of a challenge, but there's so many projects in the queue right now that are relying on BPA to be able to get a range of new of transmission upgrade projects done by 2029 being the target date. That's not a sure shot, but including the Ruby Flat Solar project, which we're at the point where the developers running into trouble getting being able to have the guarantees they need to keep their finances secure, and we're looking for ways to assure them and other developers, right, that one way or the other that this BPA is going to get the projects done and that they'll be able to come online on a predictable timeline. And so that's a challenge across the board, but some other cool things going on, moving, and Energy Northwest also looking to move into, some interest in prospecting geothermal development, right? And they're very interested in what we're doing, kind of leading the charge on that. As folks from all the utilities I talk to, really eager to see how things go for us. Also, some new gravity storage projects and other things that they're pioneering out there. And
We got an email, right, on the storage. You sent an email out to the commission with the energy storage presentation.
Yep, yeah, a lot of cool stuff. But the most important thing being the new nuclear small modular reactor project in development. So we got some updates that timelines are being pushed back somewhat, and they're gonna, they're gonna need more time getting all the pieces together to bring to us for final approval. So now we're expecting more like August target for final approval rather than May as previously planned. And that could get pushed back a little further, but there will be more board meetings in April and July where I can report back to you before we have to make that we're expected to where we will have to pass a resolution as the board of the PUD, and they will need a majority of such resolutions from their members in order to approve the project. But so I think we can plan on more like, yeah, over the summer where we can plan to do that and be able to get, all the details of the contract and what we need to know. So, that's, I think, the other thing I just had to report was that, like 2 weeks ago, discussed this opportunity to submit a proposal for PSC looking at Energy, looking at distributed battery energy storage projects that, we were looking at the possibility of hosting one on our property here that, it was right against the distribution center there in the corner. But the consultant we were talking to, Cascadia Renewables, decided that it wasn't good to go for this round of funding, and so they're not submitting that. But we're open to looking at future opportunities. And so just wanted to let you know we're not applying. And that's, I think, all I have to report today. Any other things we have?
We're almost on time.
We're keeping it under 2 hours today. It's actually one of the shorter meetings we've had in a while. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Nope.
Okay, well, look forward to meeting again in 2 weeks. I will adjourn today's meeting at 10:11 a.m.